Thank you. And so the next item on the agenda is the election of the board's chairperson and vice chairpersons. Are there any motions?
I'd like to nominate Patrick McKeague as chairman.
I'll second that.
That's not fair. That's what I was going to do. Buckley.
Oh, okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Is there a motion with regards to vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Sherry McCartney.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nope.
Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. And I will now turn this meeting over to our new chair. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. That's humbling. I appreciate it. Thank you for your confidence, and I hope to lead and prove you right. Thank you. Oof, all of a sudden, full of work. Okay, let's go right. Well, approval of the minutes. Was there anything we need to amend or adjust, or are we good with the minutes? If so,
I move to approve.
we have a second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Very good. I think we can move right on to case number 1, UDP S24028. We'll do disclosures, starting down there with Mr. Donaldson.
Do we need a swear-in of people first?
We can swear the individuals afterwards. But for the benefit of the new board members, on quasi-judicial items, you're sitting as finders of fact. So we ask that the members disclose any communication that you've had with individuals with regards to these cases, any site visits that you may have had, so that the parties in interest may have an understanding of what you are considering as part of your deliberation. So that's what this disclosure period is for. So any emails, any conversations, any site visits.
Thank you for that clarification.
Brian Donaldson on case number 1. I did a site visit.
Mr. Dutton.
Kevin Buckley, I made a site visit, and I was not able to connect with the applicant prior to the meeting. I was out of town.
Ms. McCartney.
I spoke with the applicant's representatives.
Mr. Gannon.
Two CBA presentations I attended and received a CBA letter of support and other email communications, did a site visit, and emailed with the architect staff.
Ms. Scott.
Yes, I spoke to Bill Brown, president of CBA. I did not speak to the applicant, and I did a site visit.
I did a site visit, and that's it. Okay, ready for the presentation? Please come forward. Yep. State your name for the record, please.
Now can you hear me? Good. That's what I thought. First of all, good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. New Chair, and Vice Chair. Congratulations. And all the members of the board. For the record, my name is Joseph Kaler, Kaler Architecture. Our address is 2417 Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood, Florida. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge our clients. Without them, I really couldn't have gotten this far nor presented this project to you today. Alexandria Ware and John Russell. Thank you so much. And with me as well is Juan Diaz, which happens to be one of my associates who worked on this project very diligently. So thank you so much. Is there a clicker or? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Chair. Chair. Just a moment. We neglected to swear in the members of the public that are speaking. If we can pause for a moment and have that done.
Absolutely.
in case. Yeah. Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you again, and good evening. Just real quickly, I'd like to go over some of the groups that are involved in this project team. Blue Skies Realty Investment, Inc., which is our client's corporate name. Kaler Architecture, which is me, Joseph Kaler. John Ibarra Associates, which is the surveyor. The civil engineer, Holland Engineering, and the landscape is Land Art Planning and Design. Both a great group in putting this whole deal together. The client is the owner and is the Blue Skies Realty Investment. He's a real estate development team in South Florida and has extensive development experience in this area. The client came to our firm a while back when they purchased the property and worked with us to design this beautiful new project. We do feel that we designed a modern building which would fit into the immediate neighborhood. The proposed development is a new 5-story apartment building with 22 units. We are providing a unit mix of all varieties of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units, and a wonderful penthouse apartment, which I think has 5 bedrooms. Furthermore, we provide a clean and simple 4th-level amenity area, which has a pool, barbecue area, lounge, spa, cabana bathroom, and pool gazebo for the use of the units, and then a separate amenity pool for the penthouse itself. So there's a double pool in the project. And as I'll show you later through the slides, you will actually see the building stair-stepping down, of which the upper floor, the 5th floor, is the penthouse. This particular slide shows the address. It's located at 3003 Granada Street. Its current zoning is ABA, A1A beachfront area. The existing use is really multifamily residential and kind of a motel. There's 2 buildings with about approximately 13 hotel units in it, which means a total of 26, and 2 units of multifamily, so basically a total of 28 units, okay? And that's what's shown up on that slide. Next, please. I'd like to show you the existing building and its street view. This is an aerial view of the 2 buildings that I was previously speaking about, which are each one having 13 units, as well as the multifamily. That all comprises of the whole site being proposed for the Granada Apartments. Next, please. A little bit about the project information. Basically, the project is as of right. We are providing 45 parking spaces, including 2 handicap spaces. They're all under cover under the building. The vehicular entrance is off of Birch, one-way in and one-way out onto Granada Street, as you can see on this proposed site plan. On the ground level, you have the pump, electric room, mail room, all the good things that you normally associate with a condo. And 3 units that are facing Granada, which is very interesting, are 2-story units, basically, that start on the ground floor and continue on the 2nd. And we've provided lush landscaping throughout the property to make it look really nice and soft. Next, please. Okay. This happens to be the proposed landscape plan. We've actually provided lush landscaping surrounding the entire building to beautify the exterior facade. Also, we've provided a series of different types of materials: gumbo limbo, buttonwood, Geiger, orange Geiger, dahoon, holly, wax myrtle, and so forth. And we work very closely with the city's landscape staff in order to come up with this final proposed landscape plan. Next, please. Okay, let me go over very quickly the proposed floor plans. This plan you've seen earlier in an earlier slide under the site plan, which just shows all the parking, the covered areas. Also the entry, the main pedestrian entry is off of Granada, which is shown where you can see a series of steps going up to the front. There's 2 elevators. a dumpster enclosure, and the wonderful three two-story units that really have a face to the public and begin on the ground floor of the project. Next, please. Okay. Second floor, we have a total of 9 units, similar to the third floor itself. It's got one bedroom at 849 square feet, 7 two-bedrooms with 1,300 square feet, and 1 3-bedroom unit with a little under 2,000 square feet, 1,932. This same floor plate is duplicated on the second as well as next on the third floor. There is a total of, on each floor, on the second and on the third, there is a total of 9 units per floor, okay? So giving you a total of 18. Now let's go to the proposed 4th floor. It's a much smaller floor, as you can see. There is only 3 units in here. One bedroom with 849, 1 two-bedroom at 1,425 square feet, and 1 3-bedroom at 1,932. And you could see there they have their own amenities to the right. You can see the pool and all the other good things that come with having a great time out in the sun. Next, 5th floor is the penthouse. Okay, as you can see, it is a 5-bedroom. It's a lovely penthouse unit, and it's got its own private pool and its own amenity. As you can see in this picture, you can see the 2 blue rectangular squares, which represent the 2 pools, one on the 5th and one on the 4th floor. Okay, next, please. This is the proposed roof. You could see the bunch of little square boxes in the image at the bottom left. That represents mechanical. It will be screened behind a vertical element that's part of the building. And you could see the entire building's rooftop from this view, from this slide. Next, please. The proposed renderings. Next. This happens to be the view, an angled view of the building. It's got a modern building facade, angled facade elements to create, edging and very special exterior treatment to the building. Clean stucco finishes, paints. All units have very, very, very spacious covered balconies, as you could see in the rendering. And the 4th level amenity area, which is basically located in the step down to the right of that slide. And it services all the units on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor. And this is the other view of the building, viewing from the Granada. And again, very, very clean cut building, very simple. It feels a little on the boutique-y side with a very limited amount of units, which I had mentioned, which was 22 units. Next, please. This happens to be a proposed nighttime rendering. Again, so you can get a different feel of what happens when a building is illuminated internally from the units themselves. Gives it a totally different feeling and a different picture. Next. Proposed elevations of the building. I'll show you the next slide. Okay, maybe thank you there. As you could see, the building not only has a lot of movement vertically up and down, it has texture, it's got color change, it's got slats in order to give a different, movement to the facade. That facade is the view from Granada, as seen from directly from the Granada Street, which we consider our front elevation. Next, please. Here, this is the north elevation, which is the opposite side. We've carried all the same elements throughout the 4 sides of the building in order to give it continuity and consistency. Next, please. That happens to be the east elevation of the building. As you could see at the bottom of the slide, there's areas for the covered parking. As you can see, the building is lifted up. so you can park underneath. And then this is the final elevation, which is the west elevation of the building, is seen from Birch Road itself. And then I just picked some proposed materials, like a mood board. We have the Proderma vertical fixed louvers that are placed throughout the building. We've used a white stucco along with a gray colored stucco, a combination of the two, and the tempered glass, with frame, with actual aluminum framing. Thank you. I do want to let you know we did actually met with the association. We met with the Central Beach Alliance last month. Let me shut off. I apologize. And when you want to shut it off, it doesn't shut off. How nice. Okay, so, and we did meet with them a month ago, and they did give us a letter of approval, which I think might be part of your packages that you have with you today. Okay, if there's any questions, I'm here to answer them. The clients are really, really, really excited in beginning this project. They waited a long time, and they would love to start beginning the construction. Of course, from here, we'd have to go to commission. And then from that point on, we'll start our working drawings. If there's any questions on any issues on the building, I'm here to answer them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any members of the board that have a question? Ms. Scott?
Thank you. I spoke to Bill Brown from the Central Beach Alliance, and I guess they had spoken to you about the pop-up
Correct.
that you planned on having on the west side of the building.
Correct.
Which the noise would affect more residential people than,
Right.
and they asked you to move it to the east. Did you do that?
Are you talking about the vertical element that's located at the corner of the building?
He called it the pop-up, so.
The pop-ups, I know.
He spoke to you about it.
I know he spoke to one of the associates in the office. I do know that the pop-up was a prerequisite from during our zoning review during DRC, and they wanted it in that location, and we made them aware of the request on behalf of the planning, the zoning and planning department, the request of placing it where it's shown on that rendering.
Is it on the east or the west?
It's on the south. It's the way the way it's shown right here on this particular rendering.
So it's on the west.
On the
and
west side, correct.
They felt that the water's edge in another building would be most affected by the noise versus moving it to the east.
Yeah.
So the city's telling you can't have it on the east?
They asked us to. They preferred having it at the corner, which is where it's positioned right now. It's at the intersection of the two streets. And that's why they wanted a pop-up in that area, and they wanted it as an enclosure also for the mechanical units that I showed in an earlier slide.
In my opinion on that, I like that pop-up that you did, the way it screens it nicely. It looks like part of the building.
Correct.
Also, it looks like it will screen will better screen the noise and mute the noise than anything else. Plus, that end of the building, I'm sure the staff wanted it there because there's a street, and there's an entire wide street before you get to the next condo. So it's the best, there's the most area away from anything else. So I heard people complaining about that at a CBA meeting.
Correct.
I didn't understand it myself. I don't get where it's coming from.
Yeah. I also feel that it is in the right location. It's in the corner. It's between with the intersecting streets. You know what I'm saying? And that gives the building its importance at the corner. Yeah.
Ms. Scott, were you finished? Or? You're
Yes,
okay.
thank you. I just
Yes,
was
but thank
repeating
you,
what
thank
was
you.
requested.
Yeah.
Very good. Ms. Gannon, anyone else have any questions for the applicant? Okay. Seeing none, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Are there
Okay.
any members of the public that wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none, I close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion and a vote.
I'd like to discuss, just make a few comments on it, before we do a motion or anything.
Please do.
So, let me put my glasses on and read this. So, I was really taken by the design of this. It's all the way around. Two things. Let me start first, say that there were 26 units on these parcels. There are going to be 28. That's what I heard. That is correct, right? So it's not much more dense. We're not getting a lot more units. what the heck else? I like the way the first floor units camouflage the parking in the garage. I like wrapping around. If you don't have retail on the bottom, it looks nice. I don't like looking at a podium or even screened garages like that. So it's a very nice job you did with that. When I looked around the plans to the other side, I saw, oh my gosh, there's blue sky there. I saw that it's not enclosed. We have a breezeway, a la the early mid-century modern buildings around there. It really looks like that. We're going to get air and a little breeze through there. So I like that too. Let's see, the only thing, and I'm going to ask staff this, the only thing that is being requested, staff, is the building length from 200 to 225, right? That's the only reason that they're here. Or is it just because it's on the beach as well?
Also because it's on the beach.
Because it's on the beach, it has to come here, okay. But the only variance, let's call it, that they're requesting is a 12% increase in the length of the building, which is not a lot at all.
Correct. If it, because of the modification request, that's the only reason why they have to come to planning and zoning board.
Okay. Let's see. We already talked about the slide 18, the southwest elevation and the pop-up. I wanted to mention that I like the pop-up and anything else. That's about all I wanted to mention. It's not asking for much, and they've done a lot, and I think it really integrates with the area, being a contemporary with a bit of the mid-century modern touch and everything. It looks good. It looks a very nice job. I'm really happy about it. Hope you guys do more in Fort Lauderdale. I know you're Hollywood-based and you probably work a lot of areas, but I was impressed by it.
Sounds like a motion, Steve.
I also had a comment, Chair.
Anyone could.
Yes, please.
To follow up on what Mr. Gannon said, when I was first looking at what was the request and the fact that the building was asked from 200 feet to 225, I was skeptical until I saw the extra setbacks. So when I saw the difference between the amount of setbacks from what you are required and putting more airspace between the buildings, I felt that the 25 additional feet made sense versus splitting the building and then having it up against the neighbors. So in that regard, I like that, and I'll be in favor of the proposal tonight.
Any other discussion? If not, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Yeah, I forgot my script today.
This is the part we all.
So the script is on the iPad. If you check your iPad, everything has been updated on.
Let's see, this is a.
This one is considered the. Let's see which one.
I'll let one more experienced member make the motion, then I
You can
withdraw
listen to
my
one
motion.
for once. Listen to
Yeah.
one, and then
Yeah,
take
here,
your own. Okay.
it's Motion for site plan. Go ahead. Steve's
I
fantastic.
move to adopt the resolution approving a site plan level 3 case number UDP-S24028 based on the following findings of fact, the facts in the city staff report, and testimony heard by the applicant, and the board hereby finds that the application meets the standards and requirements of the ULDR and criteria for the proposed use as cited in the resolution, and includes the staff. I'd like to include any staff conditions in the report.
I second the motion.
Call the roll or just?
Yes.
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 Yes. That motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. Look forward to seeing it. Okay, we'll move on to item number 2, which is UDP-S24059. And I will do, does anybody have anything as far as, I just drew a blank on the word. Disclosures. Thank you. The word slipped my mind. Mr. Donaldson.
Yes, I had a conversation with the agent for the developer. I also did multiple site visits, and I also read the email that was sent to all of us today.
Thank you. Mr. Dutton.
None.
Mr. Buckley.
Yes, I made a site visit, and I spoke with Ms. Toothaker today.
Ms. McCartney.
I spoke with the applicant's attorney.
Mr. Gannon?
Applicant's attorney, site visit, and email communication.
Ms. Scott?
Yes, spoke to the applicant's attorney, site visit, and read the email that we received today.
Okay, I also received and read the email, spoke with the attorney for the applicant, and did a site visit. Ms. Toothaker?
Thank you very much. Stephanie Toothaker and Dan Daly on behalf of the applicant, Sal Cannizzaro, 90 Isle of Venice. Just going to page through a presentation. So as many of you know, we had done a project that some of you voted on a year, not last year, but the year before, called 87 Isle of Venice. This is the same developer, and this property is almost directly across the street from 87 Isle of Venice. That's a project that we worked very closely with the neighborhood association on, reaching a settlement on on the setbacks that they were comfortable with, and they did support that project. We took that project and we mirror copied it, and I'm sorry, I should have introduced Armando Luna, who's the architect with Adachi, who's also here this evening. We took that project and we mirror copied it, and my client bought he's a resident of Fort Lauderdale, actually lives on this aisle, and he took that project and essentially did a mirror image of that project, different design, but the project itself, 8 units, same setbacks all the way around, and directly across the street on a piece of property that's the same size. Before we submitted to the city of Fort Lauderdale, I reached out to the president of the Homeowners Association, had a conversation, we made a presentation very, very early in the process, much earlier than we normally would, but we said, we worked so closely with you. The neighborhood all came to the groundbreaking that we did, and everybody was very happy with it. So we shared it with them and showed it to them very early in the process before my client actually even closed on the project, on the property, to let them know that this was coming. So it is zoned. It's land use medium high residential, and it's zoned RMM 25. And here's just a context image of the area and what's there today. A lot of these older buildings sort of have reached their useful life, and you're starting to see a lot of, especially on the aisles, you're seeing these modern projects come in. They're still relatively small. This is a small project. As I said, it's only 8 units. It's roughly 55 feet in height. And just some more street views. You can see directly next to us is 86 Isle of Venice, and there's 90 Isle of Venice. And this project is called the Adria. So as I said, it is a 5-story product. It's 54 feet 6 inches to the roof slab, 8 units, 1 level of parking. One of the things that in the discussions on 87, one of the things that the neighbors really didn't like was the stacked parking. So there is no stacked parking in this project. It's completely parked, no parking variances, no parking waivers. It's all at the ground level. Everything about the project is completely consistent with the technical requirements of the code. It meets everything with the exception, of course, of the yard modifications, which is why it's here before you this evening, and also because it's a waterway use. So it's a modern design. It meets all the elements that are discussed throughout the code, and you can see it's got a lot of variations in the images and whatnot. It's a beautifully designed condo. It is a for sale product, very in line with what has been approved previously on the aisles on Isle of Venice. And just some more images. This is from the water side. There is a deck on the roof for residents. And you can see here in this image, there's very healthy view corridors and very healthy landscaping on the sides of the project. There's one from the back. Okay, so the yard modifications. As I said, when we did the 87 Isle of Venice, we did ask for yard modifications that were very carefully negotiated and supported by the neighborhood association. So the yard modifications on the front, we are asking for a modification to 21 feet from 27. On the sides, we are from 27 feet 6 inches to 17 feet. And in the rear, from 27 feet 6 inches to 20 feet. And there are balconies that actually also are permitted to go into that. The height drives the setback. So in this section of the zoning code, the modification is required to be, not required, but it speaks to half the height of the building, and then it provides a process for us to come to the Planning and Zoning Board to request modifications to that. And every project has come for modifications because that half the height of the building just basically wipes out the site, and then it becomes a non-developable site. This is a really helpful image because I think what in reality, and I know a lot of you drove the street, so our property line is actually fairly far set back from the curb. So the actual distance of the building from the curb, from unless you're looking at it in plan view, if you're just walking up and down the street, the actual distance is 31 feet. But the property line is set back from that. So there's 10 feet that has curb, sidewalks, some landscaping, and then from the property line, we are at 21 feet. That's actually it's a larger setback than the buildings that are adjacent to us on either side. So it's very in line with the development patterns of what's happened on the street. The project is actually 1 foot greater in setback than the buildings on both sides of it, on the front. And on the side setbacks are 7 feet wider on each side than the buildings that are adjacent to us. So they have much smaller setbacks than this project is proposing. These are just some context elevations showing what it looks like in the context of what's adjacent to it. And this next slide is just a historical analysis of the yard modifications that have been granted by this board to other projects on this aisle and the adjacent aisle, because those two aisles work together. And you can see that with exception of 2 of the projects, all of the yard modifications that have been granted are actually much smaller setbacks. So you've got 17, which is what we had negotiated with the neighbors. Prior projects that were approved were at 10 feet, 11 feet, 10 feet, 11 feet. So it essentially, what I'm showing you here is that this is the pattern of development, and this one actually provides greater greater setbacks than previous projects that have been approved. It does have, because this is back out parking right now, and that creates a little bit of a mess on the street. So obviously when you bring a new project in, you're improving the overall situation. So removing all of that back out parking and creating the parking underneath the building. This is, I'm not going to read all this, you can read, but this is the yard modification criteria. Staff has done a very healthy analysis of that. We did a healthy analysis of that, and your staff report goes into that in great detail. And what it basically says is that we meet the requirements that allow us to request the yard modification from this board. And one more. This is the waterway use criteria, which we also meet. And finally, water and sewer capacity and the TRIPS analysis, very small project, only 8 units, so it's almost no impact. This is just a timeline of some of the meetings that we had. As I said, we did meet with the HOA prior to submitting the project, and then we also, in the process, we also did a traditional public participation meeting as we were leading it. Once we knew what the date was that we were going to be scheduled for Planning and Zoning Board, we held a public participation meeting. Only one person showed up. And it was actually not anyone from this HOA. It was the president of the Las Olas Isles Association. And he said, we don't take positions on projects, but I would be happy to give you my personal support. And he's not even from this HOA, but he is Las Olas Isles Association president. So we were obviously just sort of, I think our feeling was that the board and the neighbors were fairly agnostic to it because they had supported the 87 Isle of Venice project. I know you all received an email. I just want to state that the board and the HOA did not take a vote on this project. That was I read it very carefully. It was an email from the president asking the district commissioner to maybe consider looking at some changes to the code as it relates to yard modifications, but it was not specific to this project, although it did get forwarded to all of you. I reached out to a couple of the board members that I know. Everyone is on vacation because I wanted to see if I could get them to, just send an email and The one that I did reach was in Spain, said she would send me something tomorrow. That'll be too late. But again, it was not specific to this project. The board did not vote. The neighbors did not vote. And in fact, they didn't even show up to the public participation meeting. So I just thought that was an important point to make. And that concludes the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any members of the board have a question at this time? Ms. Scott, please.
Not a question, just really a statement. I don't recall in my tenure on being on planning and zoning that we've ever approved a project on Isle of Venice or Hendricks, and I might be wrong, where there isn't modifications of side yard, et cetera. So it's been the consistent way of the redevelopment of those two streets.
I'm going to
Ms.
mention
McCartney.
along the. Oh, go ahead. Let me mention along those lines. It's the same subject.
Mr. Gainer.
If it's okay, I'm sorry that a year ago when we looked at 87 Venice, we really discussed the setbacks quite a bit and other things and what can and can't be done, and it was pretty much determined that you can't really build what you can't really put internal. I'm sorry, you can't really internalize properly the parking on parcels that size because of the way the vehicles need to turn around and park and all that sort of stuff. And you needed those setbacks at least for that. We really belabored a discussion on that. And I'm going to say that there were many people speaking last time too during that, and we covered a lot of stuff. We don't really seem to have many, if any, speaking here tonight on it, and the absence of what we had last time in the way of HOA letters and folks tells me something that as Jackie said, we're getting used to what has to happen for the setback reduction there. Really.
Thank you. Ms. McCartney?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I would underscore what you folks have said, but I want to also add that because we're having to constantly address setbacks, then there's some incompatibility. We talked about this sometimes with parking. If we're having to constantly make modifications to parking, then there might be something about the code that needs to be tweaked. And I want to put that out there as potentially something that we raise as an issue, because obviously in this area, you can't build without it. It wouldn't make any sense. But significantly, I noted that, did you say it was 10 feet away from the actual curb to the property line?
At the front yard setback, our building is 21 feet from the property line, but there's an additional 10 feet to the curb, so it's 31 feet.
So visually, it is well within what would be expected to be the setback.
That's
anyway.
correct.
So it really kind of meets it in a as the eye sees it.
It's actually further away than the two buildings that are adjacent to it on both sides.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm just going to follow up on the same points. I wasn't part of the board 2 years ago when a lot of these projects went through that you showed on the screen. So as a newbie, I went to the Isle of Venice today with my tape measure and got chased off of a couple properties as I was measuring how far they were from the sidewalk to get a good idea as to what 21 feet looked like. And this project feels like all the other newer projects that are on that aisle, and actually a little further back than some of the other projects that are there. So when we're always talking about adjacency and neighbors and et cetera, I don't see where this doesn't fit in with the new Isle of Venice.
Thank you. Mr. Buckley?
Most of the buildings in that area there are probably 75 or 80 years old. I used to live at 87 Isle of Venice 45 years ago. And it's really pretty much impossible to redevelop that without some thoughtful conditions going forward with, in that particular environment. We used to call it the cesspool aisles. There were liveaboards there that just pumped raw sewage into the canals. That's a huge improvement from my perspective.
Thank goodness times have changed over there. Anybody else wishing to speak or have any comment? I have one other question. Go ahead, Mr. Gannon.
I have one of the questions for staff. This is a site plan level 3. Confirm, please, that this means it's the P&Z approves or disapproves, and the commission can only call it up, right? Our approval is final except the commission. It doesn't automatically go to commission.
That is correct.
Okay, I was confused because the previous the previous project, the gentleman responded that they were going to go to commission after this.
No, he doesn't have to go to commission
that's what I
after
thought.
that.
Okay, thank you.
For approval.
Any members of the public wishing to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, I close the public period and bring it back to the board for discussion and a vote. Any more discussion? Anybody want to proffer a vote or a motion? Everyone gets cold feet. Yeah, we get cold feet at this point.
I'll try it.
All right, Jackie's up.
I'll try it. Motion to, I move to adopt the resolution approving a site plan level 3, case number UDP-S24059, based on the following findings of fact. And the board hereby finds that the application meets the standards and requirements in the ULDR and criteria for the proposed use as cited in the resolution. The approval of the application is subject to all conditions included in the city staff report and the modifications and any other applicable conditions on the record.
I'll second that.
Okay. We'll call roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Very good. Thank you all. For the board members, the staff has added the script here, the one that we all have hesitations about jumping into, but it has been added here. So, yes, I know. So if you go in the main file that does list the different items, right now it says it has the agenda, meeting minutes. Did you see that? And then in there it has the script. P&Z motion script for meetings. Do you have that line item? No? Let's see. Yeah, mine got moved. Back all the way out to the home screen. I am not a tech person, but I got it.
Staff, can I get an electronic script? I'm using my own laptop, and if I could just get one and have it on here, it'd be great somehow.
Let me see if I can send that to you right now.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Did everyone find that same place? It was. Okay. Very good. We will move right on to item number 3, which is UDP P23005. And do we have any disclosures, Mr. Donaldson?
No disclosures except for a site visit.
Mr. Dutton?
Spoke to the applicant's attorney.
Mr. Buckley?
Visited the site and spoke with Mr. Lockery.
Ms. McCartney?
None.
Mr. Gannon?
Site visit and spoke to applicant's attorney.
Ms. Scott?
Spoke to the applicant's attorney.
And I also spoke with the applicant's attorney.
Good evening. Robert Lockery on behalf of the applicant. This item, as your staff report indicates, is for a recommendation of approval of a boundary plat. The property is located at the just north of 13th Street, just to the west of the FEC railroad tracks. It is currently zoned B3. It is subject to a site plan approval that's already been received for the site, and this is that next step, which is the boundary plat for the property. We are splitting the property into 2 parcels. The main parcel, let me go quickly to that. The main parcel, which is the majority of the property, and then a frontage piece on 10th, which will be set aside for open space. And that was actually the request of working with staff, but initially the request of the City Commission when we were handling a easement vacation on the parcel. We've reviewed the staff report. We agree with all its conclusions and its recommendations. We're happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant at this time? Seeing none. And are there any members of the public that wish to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, I close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion and a vote. No discussion. Any motions?
I'd like to make one comment.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, staff, for reserving the open space near 13th Street there. That was nice. You know, the rest of it is very far behind off the street next to railroad tracks, hidden. But that does show, and it's nice that we're keeping some green space.
Very good. Any motions?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval. I move to recommend approval of case number UDP-P23005 based on the following findings of fact, the facts of the city staff report, and based on the testimony heard by the applicant, that the board hereby finds that the application meets the applicable criteria for the ULDR cited in the staff report. I don't believe there were any conditions. Were there?
No.
So the board's recommendation approval of the application is subject to any additional conditions if there were any in the staff report.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Very good. Please call the roll.
Approve.
Approve.
Yes.
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 Yes. Very good. Yes. Thank you very much.
Dad would be very proud of you. I know he served as chair at the county for a long time with their planning and zoning board.
Thank you, yes. Yes, we looked it up on the, let's see if I can find it out much. Anyway, he served on this board for 6 years. Yes,
did, yeah.
between, and then at the county, he did over 2 decades, maybe 3 decades there.
Prior to
so-
that, back in the 80s.
So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to fill those shoes. I'm grateful to serve. I appreciate you all very much nominating and then supporting me for this. It's an honor. And I also welcome all the new members. I look forward to serving with you and keeping up. Appreciate the staff and all the hard work as always. Is there anything for the good of the city?
If I may, just
Yep.
just for the edification of the board, since we have a new
Please.
board. So I know you've all have the benefit of the script that our office has prepared for you in terms of reviewing and approving items. The reason why we provide the script is that Florida statute requires that when we deny permits or development permits, that we specifically state what those reasons are. So if there is ever a case where you're looking for denials of these permits, what I would encourage you to do is to take a good look at the staff reports and identify specific sections of the code that relate to the items of concern that the board members may have. Generally, the resolutions that we have in terms of approval will have generic language that deals with the approval conditions related to that item, which is what the script accommodates, but you'll have to do a little bit more work when it comes to denials. And we'll be here to kind of assist you in getting your language okay. All right?
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any questions or anything? If not, we can move to adjourn. Good job. All in favor? Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you all. Thank you. I'm trying to go back, like riding a bike. Thank you all very much. This meeting's adjourned.